Grüezi miteinander, ganz herzlich willkommen und einen wunderschönen guten Tag, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, liebe Freunde aus nah und fern, noch einmal aus Davos hier, aus dem Hauptquartier des World Economic Forum mit vielen illustren Gästen und auch interessanten Gesprächspartnern. Einige davon haben wir ja bereits erleben können, auch für mich da im Smalltalk in den Bergen. Und jetzt steht mir gegenüber ein Veteran, ich werde dann gleich auf Englisch wechseln, weil mein Portugiesisch ist nicht so gut, ein Veteran des World Economic Forum, ein bedeutender Politiker der Europäischen Union, ehemaliger Kommissionspräsident, hat sich natürlich in dieser Eigenschaft auch mit der Schweiz auseinandergesetzt. Wir haben uns schon bei verschiedenen Gelegenheiten kennengelernt, manchmal auch etwas die Klingen gekreuzt. Er kann sich da vermutlich nicht mehr erinnern, aber ich freue mich, dass er hier ist, im Zeichen der Meinungsvielfalt bei der Weltwoche. Ich begrüße den former Chairman of the European Commission, the President of the European Commission, José Manuel Barroso from Portugal. At his probably, how many WEFs have you had in your life, Mr. President?
First of all, Achtung, ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch verstehen.
Ah, sehr gut.
Ich kann verstehen, nicht sprechen, aber kann ich verstehen. Nein, I was maybe 10 or 12 Davos meeting. In fact, I was quite honored because I came here in the early 90s and I was chosen as so-called global leader for tomorrow. At that time, I was the first Portuguese to receive that title.
A visionary title, and very true. You became a leader of tomorrow.
Yeah, now I'm a leader of yesterday. I preferred, I have to say, when I was a global leader for tomorrow, I was young, and now I'm getting old. But okay, still very active. And I think it's a good occasion to interact with many sectors. Now, I'm here also as a chairman of Gavi,
okay,
the Global Alliance for Vaccines. Mm-hmm. We were creating COVAX during the pandemic, besides our work to make the immunization of children, namely in developing countries of the world. And so I'm also being in touch for speaking here with many people, both from humanitarian organizations, but also from governments, from private sectors, that we can finance the future of immunization. Because to be frank, some time ago during the pandemic, there was a big priority given to public health, but I'm afraid now it's going down for understandable reasons, because of Ukraine, because of climate transition, because of the support to refugees, because of so many, let's say, pressure in the national budgets of our countries, that there is sometimes less money for public health, and I believe immunization, vaccination, helping the most vulnerable people in the world remains critically important, not only from a moral point of view, but also from an economic point of view.
What is the essence of Davos? What's the essence of the World Economic Forum? You have been here as a leader of the European Union. What does it come down to? What's the essence? What's the message, according to you, of Davos? What's the importance of this meeting?
If I have to summarize, I know it's quite controversial, Davos, but I think the basic message is very positive, is to cooperate across boundaries, to put people together, to have an open view of the world. Here, we're now speaking the Chinese reception. Why not? We don't agree with China in many other areas. I'm now speaking as a European. But China is one of the most important countries in the world. We have to engage with China, and with others we don't agree. It's precisely with those we don't agree that we have to speak. So, one of the things I like in Davos is that we have here people from all countries in the world. We have people from business, but from politics, from academia, from the media, like you, from civil society. So there is that stereotype idea about the so-called Davos man, just the financial. I don't think it's fair. Of course, to run all this show, you need a lot of money. And so it's true that the big corporations have special access. But it's not only that. For instance, Gavi and the Global Fund to fight malaria, tuberculosis and AIDS was created here.
Oh, okay.
It was an initiative of, among others, Bill Gates. And so it was possible to gather sufficient support from business leaders with governments and to create. So some good things come out of Davos. Of course, it's not perfect. Logistical, it's not very easy because it's very slippery. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it serves a great purpose.
Isn't it sad that the Russians are not here? I don't mean the politicians are probably too controversial for the Davos purposes. But as you mentioned, I mean, the world comes together, everybody talks to everybody. Isn't it sad that a big country in war, of course, we understand, but there have been many wars on the world, shouldn't be the Russians present here at the World Economic Forum?
It's very sad, I agree, but it is their fault. What they have done was simply unacceptable. It's a clear violation of international law. It's the biggest country in the planet in terms of geography, invading another country smaller, even if it's not a small country. And so there is a system of sanctions. So I can understand that. Yeah. Of course, I like to speak with Russians, but in the current circumstances, I think it will be probably very disruptive. So I can understand they are not.
Talking about disruption, as a president of the EU Commission, you had to deal with Switzerland. Switzerland is not the easiest bedfellow of the European Union. Of course, we Swiss are great Europeans, but we are a bit skeptical vis-à-vis the European Union. How many headaches did you have because of the Swiss? How many sleepless nights? I guess not many, because you had to deal with so many issues all over the world.
I sleep very well. No, the problem is, to be honest, I'm a very committed European, as you may imagine, but I'm a real friend of Switzerland. I came here with a scholarship of the Swiss Federation in 1979. Yeah. My first son was born here. In the Hôpital Cantonal Universitaire de Genève. So I visited all Switzerland. I don't think all Swiss people visit all the cantons. I was in all cantons of Switzerland. I was special guest for the 700th anniversary of the Confederation.
Fantastic. And what is the fascination of Switzerland to you? What fascinates you particularly?
Federalism. Yeah. The idea of people coming together in spite of different cultures. I mean, Switzerland is in a way a small Europe, because you have the German-speaking, the French-speaking, the Italian-speaking, the Rhéto-Romanche, or the Graubünden or Grison people. So it's amazing. So I really admire very much Switzerland. And I have a great debt to Switzerland, because I came here with a scholarship of the government, and then I went to the United States also with a research scholarship of the government, of the Fonds National Suisse Recherche Scientifique. So Switzerland is not in the European Union. We respect that. We are not the Soviet Union. We are the European Union. To be in the European Union, you have to want to be. And if you don't want to be, you are free not to be. Look at Britain. They wanted to leave. Okay, they left. That is in a way a good signal that we are a voluntary association of states. Having said that, Switzerland is at the core of Europe. Switzerland is more integrated economically in Europe than most European countries. If you look at the flows of trade and investment, how much Switzerland trades with the rest of the European Union, with European Union countries, and invests in European Union, and European Union investment in Switzerland, Switzerland, in fact, is one of the top 5 countries in integration in Europe.
And what is your explanation now? You can be completely honest. You're not a president anymore.
I was always honest. What changes is the level of sincerity. Since I left politics, my sincerity grows every day. Okay. But I was always honest.
Okay. I didn't want to allude to something. No. But the question is, how did you, for yourself, or how do you explain to yourself, why do you think Switzerland does not join the European Union? I mean, you are an admirer of Switzerland, you are an admirer of the European Union. How do you explain for yourself, why is Switzerland not part of the EU?
I mean, I can only give a guess. As someone who lived here for some years, I'm still very much associated with Switzerland. Now as chairman of Gavi, the headquarters are in Geneva. I come very often. My opinion is the following. Switzerland historically, differently from the way France or Portugal was, or Spain or others, or Germany was made, Switzerland is at the center of Europe with at least three very important cultures of Europe. The Germanic, the French, Francophone, and Italian. And so Switzerland, the way of the country itself was based on neutrality. On the idea that we are in the middle, but we cannot be there or there. We have to... And then Switzerland developed a special identity based on federalism. And so decisions very close to the citizens. And so for Switzerland, probably, for the Swiss mind, it's more difficult to accept above the level of Switzerland another layer of responsibility. I think that's the reason, and we fully respect that. I mean, it's acceptable. I mean, of course it is, but Switzerland is, from all points of view in terms of values, a very committed European country.
And why is the European Union not exactly like Switzerland?
I mean, European Union, European community was born after the Second World War as a reconciliation between France and Germany. The history of Europe was a history of wars. Europe is by far the most violent continent in history. The Second World War killed more people than all wars in the history of mankind. What's happening today in the world is awful, from Ukraine to the Middle East, but it's small compared with the casualties of the Second World War. And so after the Second World War, the two enemies, France and Germany, decided for a true reconciliation, and then also with Italy and the Benelux countries. Okay, so this is the genesis of Europe, of the European community at that time. That's why it started with the coal and steel community in the 50s. So this is why there was a rationale, and Switzerland was out because Switzerland was a neutral country, was in a way not in the war, and so there was not the same driver for reconciliation that we had those countries that were destroyed. Those countries were, in Germany was destroyed by the Second World War. Italy was part of the Second World War, and the Benelux countries as well. People were hungry. Rotterdam, people were starving because there was not enough food. The Netherlands, one of the richest countries in the world today, at that time. So that was the basic driver for the European integration, was that afterwards other countries like mine, why did Portugal join the European community? It was precisely 50 years ago, in April, that Portugal became a democracy.
After Salazar.
After Salazar and Caetano. And so we wanted, I was 18 years old, we wanted to become a normal European country, more developed. Many Portuguese workers were in the rest of Europe, and the European Union for us was a way of being integrated in the European family. The same happened with Spain, at more or less at the same time, and Greece. And afterwards, the same happened with the Central Eastern European countries that were under totalitarian communist regimes. So this is why the European Union is, I think, a beautiful story. One of the happiest days in my life was when I received the Nobel Peace Prize on behalf of the European Union in Oslo in 2012, because the European Union until now was able to avoid wars among their members. Yeah. And so it's a success.
I have just two short questions because I play the national anthem here. In a world of conflict, multipolarism, emerging great powers like China and others, what is the role of Europe in this future world? What are we, the bridge between all the powers? What is your vision for Europe in the future?
The only way for us to defend our values and our interests is to be together, either in the European Union or some kind of association.
We have to bring the world together.
Because look, I was in the G20 meetings as part of the Commission. And who runs the world politically, globally? Basically it's the United States, China, and Europe if we are together. These are the three main poles of economic power globally, at least economic. With all respect, even Germany or France, who are the biggest countries in the European Union, they are not at the same level of power or influence as the United States or China. But together, Europe counts, I can tell you. Together, when we go and for global negotiations with the US and China, also Japan, India, Brazil, and Portugal, what is our influence? Or even Switzerland, that is much richer than Portugal. Frankly, when Switzerland meets with China, of course, very competent diplomacy, we do our best. But when we have the European dimension, leverage supporting us, that gives us a real clout. So I believe that's one of the great reasons for European integration is the global competition and this fragmented world we are living in.
What is the most important European value? One word.
Freedom.
And you have been, still are, political homo politicus. You are a politician lifelong, have been successful as you have talked to all the big guys on the world stage. You have been one of the big guys yourself. What's the most important thing you have learned in politics about life?
I'm going to give a very strange answer. The most important thing in life is not politics. Politics is an instrument, is a means to an end. The most important things in life is human beings. A man, a woman, or a child. And that's in fact the European value. For
every person counts.
For those who think that the state or the party is the most important, they are completely wrong. The state or the party or an ideology are means. Okay, we need states, we need Switzerland, we need Portugal, we need Germany, we need France. But at the end of the day, or China, or Brazil, or US, at the end of the day what counts is every person. A man, a woman, and a child. And you said the Russians were not here, so I'm going to quote a Russian, Dostoevsky. In the Karamazov brothers, there is one of the people there that says, my father loved or liked mankind in general, but he hated every person in particular. That's the problem. So I'm not speaking about the abstract concept of humanity or mankind, but people. So at the end of the day, what I learned in politics is that politics is not so important. More important than politics is love. Love for our family, for our friends. These human values are indeed more important. But of course, politics is important to organize our societies. And politics done wrongly can be a disaster. Look at the wars that are going on now. Politics can be, but the more important thing is not politics, it's life and human beings.
President Barroso, many thanks for this conversation here in a celebration of Chinese cuisine and I think Chinese music. Thank you. All the best to you. Thank you very much. Wiederschauen. Danke. Das war José Manuel Barroso, einstmals Präsident der Europäischen Kommission, hier im offenen Gespräch. Nicht immer kontroversiell, sondern uns interessiert ja auch, wie diese Persönlichkeiten denken, was sie zu sagen haben. Merci vielmals und einen schönen Abend.